She was in emergency labor with twins when her husband texted, "I'm getting married overseas. You're on your own." Moments later, doctors rushed to save her life as her vital signs crashed. But someone unexpected heard her screams. And what happened next changed everything. This is the true story of Rachel Martinez, a woman who walked into the Northcrest Medical Center in Atlanta fighting for her life. Bleeding, collapsing, alone. Only to receive a text message that would become one of the most heartless acts ever recorded. Getting married in Barcelona. You're on your own. Divorce papers coming. Her husband, Bradley Thornton, didn't just abandon her. He cut off her bank accounts, erased her insurance, and left her to deliver their premature twins without a dollar. Without family, and without hope. But what Rachel didn't know was that down the hallway, a billionaire stranger was about to hear her screams and step into her life with the force of a storm. A man who had spent his entire life saving others from the same cruelty that destroyed his own family. A man named Lucas Kingston. And his next decision would change everything. Before we continue, if you believe no woman should ever be abandoned during childbirth, hit the like button. Subscribe for more real stories of betrayal, justice, and unexpected love. And stay until the end, because what happens to Rachel, Bradley, and the twins will shock you. Let's begin. The automatic doors of Northcrest Medical Center in Atlanta blasted open at 9:47 p.m., letting in a rush of cold air and the sound of a woman fighting for breath. Rachel Martinez stumbled inside, one hand clutching her stomach, the other gripping the front desk for balance. Her designer maternity dress, one Bradley proudly bought months ago, was now soaked in blood. Another contraction tore through her like a lightning bolt. "Please," she gasped, voice trembling. "It's the twins. They're coming now. Please, help me." The triage nurse looked up, and her eyes widened at the sight under Rachel's dress. This wasn't early labor. This was a medical emergency. "Get a stretcher," the nurse yelled. "She's hemorrhaging." Within seconds, Rachel was surrounded, IVs inserted, monitors strapped to her, nurses shouting codes she didn't understand. The hallways blurred as they rushed her toward the maternity wing. "Is anyone coming for you?" the nurse asked breathlessly. "Your husband. Family." Rachel didn't answer. She couldn't. Because the truth was a pain worse than labor. She had no one. Her mother had died years ago. Bradley had isolated her from every friend, every connection. And now, he was gone too. Just 3 hours earlier, Rachel had been in their luxury penthouse in Midtown Atlanta, panicking from the first wave of contractions. They were nothing like the practice ones. These felt like her body was being split open. She had called Bradley's number over and over. He finally replied with a single text. "Getting married in Barcelona. You're on your own. Divorce papers coming." Rachel remembered dropping the phone on the bathroom floor, electricity shooting down her spine as pain overtook her. She had tried to breathe, tried to think, but her world shattered into pieces. And now, as she was wheeled into the operating room, her phone, left on the nurse's station, lit up again. 4 new notifications. All from her bank. Account closed. Card declined. Insurance canceled. Transaction failed. Bradley hadn't just abandoned her. He had financially erased her. "Her blood pressure is crashing," a nurse shouted. "Both twins are in distress." Dr. Patricia Winters, the lead obstetric surgeon, rushed in and took one glance at the monitors. "Emergency C-section. No. If we wait, we lose them." Rachel tried to speak, tried to say she didn't want to die, but her voice broke into sobs. As the anesthesiologist placed a mask over her face, her vision dimmed. Everything around her, bright lights, shouting, metal instruments, began to fade. Somewhere behind her, a nurse whispered after reading the latest message on her phone. "He sent divorce papers while she's coding?" And Rachel, hovering between consciousness and darkness, realized. If she didn't survive this surgery, her daughters would enter the world, with no one waiting for them. But what she didn't know was that, at that exact moment, just one floor above, a man who had spent his life fighting for abandoned women heard her scream, and he was about to walk straight into her story. On the 6th floor of Northcrest Medical Center, the city lights of Atlanta shimmered against the glass windows of the neonatal research wing. This was where Lucas Kingston, 40 years old, billionaire, philanthropist, and CEO of Kingston Global Industries, stood quietly beside his sister's office desk, finishing a late-night visit. His sister, Dr. Catherine Kingston, one of the country's top neonatal specialists, scanned her pager. Another case. Another emergency. "Preterm twins," she murmured. "Mother in critical condition. HELP syndrome. They're rushing her into surgery." Lucas looked up sharply. That condition wasn't just medical jargon to him. It was trauma. His mother had nearly died from HELLP syndrome decades ago, alone, abandoned, bleeding on a kitchen floor while 5-year-old Lucas tried to call 911 with trembling fingers. So when he heard the sound echoing down the hallway, a guttural cry, a woman's scream, pain, fear, desperation, every muscle in his body froze. He knew that sound. He'd heard it once in his childhood, and it had haunted him ever since. "Where is she?" he asked, voice low. Catherine pointed toward the observation hallway overlooking the maternity operating theaters. Lucas started walking. Fast. Purposeful. Heart pounding harder with every step. Through the wide observation window, he saw her. Rachel. Strapped to monitors. Pale. Shaking. Surrounded by doctors scrambling to save her life. No husband, no family. No hand holding hers. Just a woman fighting alone. The sight struck him like a physical blow, sharp, immediate, personal. He leaned closer, breath fogging the glass, eyes locked on the scene. The twins' vitals blared from the monitors. Nurses were pulling incubators closer. Rachel's blood pressure flashed dangerously low. Then he heard Catherine whisper. Her husband left her. Ran off to Barcelona. Sent her divorce papers during surgery. Can you believe that? Lucas's jaw flexed. The paper coffee cup in his hand crushed under his grip. "Show me everything," he said quietly. They moved closer to the glass. Through the chaos, Rachel's phone lit up on a nearby counter, messages flashing across the screen. The nurses gasped as they read them. Bradley had drained all her accounts, cut her insurance, removed her from his properties, left her with nothing, all while she was pregnant with his twins. Lucas felt his chest tighten, not with pity, with anger, a kind of anger he hadn't felt in years. "Is there anyone here for her?" he asked. "No," Catherine replied. "She came in alone." Lucas stared at Rachel, sweat on her forehead, tears sliding down her cheeks, her breathing shallow as the anesthesia mask lowered. She looked like someone who had fought every possible battle and lost every one. And something inside Lucas shifted. A quiet vow. An instinct he didn't question. "I'm going in," he said. Catherine's eyes widened. "Lucas, I said I'm going in." His voice wasn't loud, wasn't emotional, just steady. Certain. And for the first time in a long time, Catherine saw the look on her brother's face that she recognized from their childhood. The look of a man who had sworn he would never let another woman die alone the way their mother almost had. He wasn't acting as a billionaire. He wasn't acting as a CEO. He wasn't acting as a stranger. He was acting as someone who knew what abandonment looked like, and refused to walk away. Lucas pulled out his phone. First call. Get me my personal attorney. Bring the family law team to Northcrest. Second call. My accountant. I want full access to liquid funds immediately. Third call. Kingston Postpartum Services, your best team. Starting tonight. Pay whatever they want. Catherine looked at him in disbelief. Lucas, what are you planning to do? He didn't take his eyes off the woman on the operating table. What someone should have done for our mother. Then, as the doctors fought to bring Rachel back from the edge, Lucas Kingston made a silent promise. She will not face this alone. Not tonight. Not ever again. And when the first of the tiny twins made a weak cry seconds later, Lucas exhaled for the first time. A new battle had begun. And he planned to win it, for all three of them. The world returned slowly. A soft beeping. A dim room. Pressure in her abdomen. And the faint scent of antiseptic mixed with warm vanilla. Someone had placed a diffuser nearby. Rachel blinked. The first thing she saw was the ceiling of the Northcrest Recovery Suite, not the bright operating lights. The second thing she saw wasn't a nurse. It was a man. A man sitting beside her bed in an expensive charcoal suit, sleeves rolled up, posture relaxed yet alert. His gray eyes softened when he realized she was awake. He stood immediately. "Rachel, you're safe," he said gently. "Your daughters are alive. Both of them." Her throat closed. Who are you?" she whispered, voice hoarse. The man stepped into the warm light. "Lucas," he said. "Lucas Kingston." She frowned. His name sounded familiar, but everything felt foggy, floating. He continued softly. "You went into emergency surgery. It was close, too close. But you made it. And the twins, they're fighters." Emotion collapsed her chest. Tears rushed forward. My babies," she whispered. "They're in the NICU." "Stronger every hour," Lucas replied, voice low, steady, grounding. "Aurora and Celeste." Her hand flew to her mouth. I didn't name them yet." His expression didn't change. He stayed calm, respectful. "You said their names in the operating room. When the doctors were losing you. You whispered them." She hadn't known she spoke at all. Lucas pulled a chair closer, not too close, not hovering, and sat. "I know this is overwhelming," he said. "You woke up to a world that looks different. But you're not alone. Not anymore." Rachel stared at him, confused. Why are you here?" "I don't know you." "You don't know me." Lucas exhaled slowly, gathering himself. "I was here visiting my sister. She's the NICU specialist on duty tonight. I heard everything. I saw everything." His jaw tightened just slightly. "No woman should go through what you did. Not ever." She swallowed, fighting tears. "My husband." She couldn't finish. Lucas nodded. "I know." He pulled her phone from the bedside table. Screen still cracked from her fall earlier. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "But I saw the messages." Rachel trembled as memories crashed back. The text from Barcelona. The account closures. Insurance cancelled. The divorce papers. all while she was fighting for her life. Her voice broke. He left me to die. Lucas didn't speak. He didn't offer empty words. He simply held her gaze, steady, present, unwavering. You survived, he finally said. And your daughters survived. That's what matters right now. Rachel wiped her cheeks with unsteady fingers. But I have nothing. No home. No money. No insurance. I don't even know how I'll take care of them. Lucas leaned forward, voice low but resolute. You don't have to worry about that today. I've arranged support. Nurses. Legal protection. Financial coverage for your recovery. Her breath hitched. Why would you do that? Her voice was barely a whisper. Lucas paused. Then, with a vulnerability she didn't expect, he said, because when I was 5 years old, my mother nearly died the same way. Alone. Abandoned. I couldn't save her then. I can't change the past. He looked at her with quiet intensity. But I can help you now. Rachel stared at him. A stranger. A billionaire. A man who owed her nothing. Yet he was here. In the one moment she needed someone the most. Before she could respond, the door burst open. A nurse stepped in, alarmed. Rachel, your husband is here. Rachel's heart stopped. Lucas stood slowly. His posture shifted, controlled, protective, fierce. Where is he? Lucas asked. The nurse swallowed. Downstairs. Demanding access to the NICU. Lucas's eyes darkened. Not while I'm here. Minutes later, the elevator pinged open. And Bradley Thornton, the man who left his pregnant wife to marry a 23-year-old in Spain, stormed into the hallway outside Rachel's room. His suit was wrinkled from rushing through the airport. His face was twisted with rage. Behind him was his new wife, wearing oversized sunglasses indoors, cheeks streaked with tears. Rachel! Bradley barked. What the hell did you do? The media is destroying me. Rachel flinched at the voice she once loved. Lucas stepped in front of her. Lower your voice, he said coolly. Bradley's eyes snapped to him. Who the hell are you? Lucas didn't blink. I'm the man who stayed. Bradley stepped forward aggressively. But Lucas didn't move. Not an inch. You abandoned your wife during a medical emergency, Lucas said quietly. You left her to die. You left your daughters to die. That's none of your business. Bradley hissed. Lucas's voice dropped to a chilling calm. It became my business the moment you stopped being a husband and a father. Bradley opened his mouth, but suddenly froze as an entire legal team appeared behind Lucas. Lawyers in dark suits. Briefcases in hand. Faces unreadable. The lead attorney stepped forward. Mr. Thornton, we need to discuss the charges being built against you. Bradley paled. What charges? Fraud. Neglect. Financial abandonment. Insurance manipulation. Offshore accounts. The attorney showed him a tablet and screenshots of every text message you sent your wife during her labor, including these. Bradley stumbled backward. This is insane. I didn't do anything. Lucas's voice hardened. You did everything. Security approached. Bradley's new wife quietly slid away from him, humiliated. Rachel watched in stunned silence, clutching her hospital blanket, tears streaming down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from relief. For the first time in months, she wasn't alone. And as Bradley was escorted out of the maternity floor, Lucas turned back to her. His voice softened. Rachel, focus on healing. Let me handle the rest. She didn't trust him yet. She didn't know him. She didn't know why he cared. But in that moment, staring at the man who shielded her from the husband who abandoned her. Rachel felt something she hadn't felt in a very long time. Safety. 3 weeks passed inside Northcrest Medical Center's NICU, but for Rachel, it felt like she'd lived an entire lifetime. Every day, every hour, every tiny milestone was a miracle. Aurora, the stronger twin, hit 4 pounds first. The nurses celebrated like it was a gold medal. Celeste, smaller but fierce, finally latched for breastfeeding on day 18. Rachel sobbed into her hands. She had waited for that moment since the night her world collapsed. And Lucas, he was there for everything. Every feeding, every oxygen monitor alarm, every tear, hers or the baby's, every victory, no matter how small. He arrived each morning with coffee, her exact order. He learned both babies' cues. He memorized their breathing patterns. He bought cushions for her C-section pain, warm socks for the freezing NICU, a personal chef's soup when hospital food made her sick. Not flashy gifts, just kindness. Thoughtful, quiet kindness. Rachel finally asked him one night, while Celeste slept on her chest, "Why are you doing all this for someone you just met?" Lucas looked down at the infant in his arms. Aurora curled into him like she belonged there. "My mother was abandoned when she was pregnant with my sister," he said softly. "No one helped her. I promised myself, if I ever had the power to be that kind of help, I would." He glanced at Rachel, voice steady. "This isn't charity. And it isn't guilt. It's something else." For the first time, Rachel allowed herself to breathe without fear. The next morning, Atlanta woke up to a headline that spread like wildfire. Tech executive abandons wife during high-risk twin delivery. Mary's assistant in Spain. Someone had leaked everything. Rachel's medical emergency. Bradley's cruel texts. His Barcelona wedding photos. And worse, his financial sabotage. By noon, Bradley's investors pulled out. His company's board voted him out as CEO. His online reputation collapsed. Humiliated and panicking, Bradley flew back to Atlanta and stormed into the hospital. But security, already briefed by Lucas, stopped him at the NICU doors. Rachel watched the scene from inside the unit as Lucas stood between her and the man who had tried to destroy her. And she knew. Bradley was losing everything he threw away. 2 weeks after the twins came home, Rachel sat inside the Atlanta Superior Courthouse, hands trembling. Lucas sat beside her. Not touching. Not overstepping. Just present. Judge Margaret Morrison reviewed Bradley's actions with a disgust that needed no words. "Mr. Thornton," she said sharply, "you left your pregnant wife during a life-threatening emergency to marry another woman. You drained accounts, canceled insurance, and filed for divorce while she was unconscious." Bradley stammered excuses. The judge lifted a hand. "Enough. You abandoned your family. You will not be rewarded for it." The ruling was swift. Full custody to Rachel. Supervised visitation for Bradley. Child support, 40% of all verified income, including offshore assets. Option to permanently terminate parental rights. Outside the courthouse, Bradley hissed, "You destroyed my life." Lucas stepped forward, calm but fierce. "No, Bradley. You destroyed your own life the moment you walked away." That afternoon, Bradley signed away his rights. He never looked back. The Magnolia Gardens estate twinkled with fairy lights as Aurora and Celeste celebrated their first birthday, surrounded only by people who truly loved them. The NICU nurses. Dr. Winters. Catherine. A few close friends. And Lucas. Always Lucas. The twins shrieked, "Dada!" as soon as they saw him. They didn't know biology, only love. And Lucas gave them love in abundance. Rachel laughed as both girls smeared cake across Lucas's face. Celeste tugged on his tie. Aurora grabbed his hair. He didn't complain. He never did. "You married him quietly," Dr. Winters whispered to Rachel, smiling at the elegant ring on her finger. Rachel nodded. No fancy wedding. No crowd. Just a courthouse, the twins, Catherine as witness, and a promise. But the moment that sealed everything had happened the week before, when Lucas legally adopted the girls. He cried harder than anyone in the room. Not soft tears, but years of buried pain finally healing. Rachel looked at him now, suit ruined by cake, the twins hanging off him like koalas, and her heart swelled. This was family. Not by blood, but by choice. Rachel placed a hand on her stomach, smiling to herself. Baby number 3 was coming. And for the first time, she wasn't afraid. At the Atlanta Fine Arts Auditorium, Aurora and Celeste stood proudly in their tiny graduation gowns, diplomas in hand. Lucas cried openly, filming every moment. Rachel sat beside him, her hand on his, their son James bouncing excitedly on her lap. In the far back corner, unnoticed by anyone, stood Bradley Thornton, a broken man, a stranger, watching the life he threw away. Celeste pointed at Lucas as she walked across the stage. "That's my daddy. He makes butterfly pancakes." Lucas laughed, tears in his eyes. He had built empires. He had conquered industries. He had been on magazine covers. But nothing, absolutely nothing, beat this moment. 2 little girls who loved him without question, because he chose them first. Rachel watched her family walk out of the auditorium. The twins holding Lucas's hands. James skipping ahead, her wedding ring glinting in the light. And she finally understood. The best families aren't born. They are built. From loyalty. From showing up. From love that chooses you, even when someone else didn't. What would you have done if you were Rachel or Lucas? Would you have forgiven Bradley? Would you have trusted Lucas? Would you have fought for the twins the same way? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, hit like. Subscribe for more powerful stories of betrayal, redemption, and unexpected love. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the one you're born into. See you in the next story.